Spring framework, and so why we are here, and so why we are learning. Okay, so then we have seen about so what are the different the modules that Spring the latest version is going to be support. Okay, and then so we also have seen about the various projects currently Spring is offering. And so we have seen about the architectural diagram, right? So as part of the architectural diagram, so we have discussed about what all the different modules. So how the each module looks like. So we have discussed about that details as well, right? Okay, so I think so we are pretty much good to start up with the first module called Spring Core module, right? So we will begin with the core modules, and then thereafter, so we will try to learn so one by one. So we will learn with the other modules. Okay. So let's start with the Spring Core module. So if you want to start with the core module, what are the prerequisite software so that you need to set up, and what all the software so that you need to download, and that is what also we have discussed. How do we download the complete Spring's framework software that we have seen yesterday, how we are going to download, right? And then so now let's see part of this session, so how we will be setting up the first application, right? So if you want to set up the first application using Spring, what is the minimum prerequisites? So your system should be installed with the Java software. Okay, so that is any so JDK version. So I would recommend for to go with the JDK 7 or JDK 8. Okay, or JDK 6 is also fine, but would be recommended JDK 8. Okay, then followed by, and you need some development IDE. So if you want to start with any first program, so usually recommended to go with the development IDs, right? So the development IDE you can use any so Java supports IDE. Okay, it might be like Eclipse, my Eclipse, and recently Spring Framework is also offering you a new IDE called STS. I don't know how many of you know this. Okay, so how many of you know this? So basically Spring Framework, especially they introduced a new IDE called STS. So STS stands for Spring Tool Suite, and this will give you the special environment for Spring applications, and it will give you the special features to simplify the Spring related files. Whenever if you are building any Spring related files, or whenever if you are building a Spring related project, the required setup it will automatically provide by using STS. Okay, so the most of the companies in the industry, it's completely your choice whether to you. Okay, but usually I would recommend for Spring, I would recommend to go with STS. Okay, or you can also still work with the Eclipse. So the STS is available as a plugin. Even that plugin you can directly download and then install the plugin into Eclipse. So whatever the features so that you are expecting from the STS, and that features are available even Eclipse, so after the installation of STS plugin successfully. Okay, and so similarly we have like my Eclipse, NetBeans, RAD. Okay, like this various IDs so that are available in the market, so that's up to you. And so you can download and then try it. So, and because of ID, our development structure will not change and it remains the same. Okay, so then so other prerequisite is, so you need to download the Spring framework libraries. Okay, Spring framework related libraries which we need to download for in order to set up the application, Spring related application. We will be require Spring framework. So I would write like softwares. So basically, either you can download the libraries so using in a manual approach. So if you remember yesterday, so I downloaded the libraries manually, right? I downloaded the libraries manually, so we started using. So the approach number one, so you can download, manual download, then attach those libraries in the build path. So that is usually we will do in our applications, right? So manually go to and download the Spring framework, and the libraries will be also downloaded a part of that, and then so we will be adding those libraries into our projects. Okay, that's the approach number one. The second approach recently in the industry is so popular, okay, so that is called build tools. You can also call it as project management tools. Like, so most popular tool in the industry is Maven. So the Maven, if you use the Maven in your project, so the Maven is responsible to download the required libraries for your project from the Maven. Okay, so either you can use Maven, or so even in the very recently in the market, so they have launched another build tool called Gradle. Okay, so likewise, so we have many other build tools. Using those build tools, you can still use this build tool for to avoid the manual approach, for to avoid, instead of downloading each and every jar files manually and then adding into the build path. So these project management tools are responsible to download the respective libraries and for respective modules, and then it will add automatically into your application. So make sure that so your system is installed Maven, and make sure that so it is up and running. Okay, otherwise the approach number one is, so you can use Maven explicitly downloaded version, then you can configure into your IDE. The second approach is in the latest the versions of the IDEs, it coming with the default. So default means, so built in with the your IDE. Suppose if you download the Eclipse, the latest version Mars or Eclipse Neon, so if you download those, and nowadays you don't need to install the Maven plugin explicitly, so it comes with the built-in, so you can directly use that also a Maven for to build your project. Okay, so for to develop for to build their core project, so this is a minimum prerequisite for to start the Spring core application. Okay, so first of all, what we will do, we will try to so use as the STS. Okay, because so this is a specially designed for Spring related application. If you want, we can also try even with the Eclipse as well. Okay, so first let's see how to download. I'm hoping that you people have already done the Java installation setup at your system. Okay, so the only thing, so probably you might not have STS so far. If you have STS, well and good. If you don't have, then so please go ahead and then download. And yesterday, if you remember, we have already downloaded Spring framework related libraries. And what we will do, first session, we will work with the manual approach. How do we work with the manual way of developing the Spring application? So once you are familiarized with the manual approach, then we will go with the build tools. So that's project management tools like Maven. I will try to show you how so Maven is going to be reducing our job. Okay, how the Maven is going to be controlling building of the application. So most of you are already working in the industry, you might be aware of it. Okay, if you're not, so then you can also learn from here. So let me show you how to download STS. Okay, So if you want to download the STS, and STS is directly available from in official website. So the STS download, okay, so it is part of the Spring official website itself. Okay, so download STS is the direct link. Okay, and so here it is available which version so that you want to select. So and let me also explain you about STS. STS is not a new product which is driven by or which is developed by Spring. STS is built on the top of Eclipse. Okay, Eclipse is completely designed and then STS is developed completely on the top of the Eclipse. So whatever the features so that you see in Eclipse, the similarly exactly you'll see the same thing, but so there are several new features are added. Okay, and they have changed some small design. Anybody, they can design their own custom product on top of the Eclipse, right, as it is an open source. Okay, so exactly, so here also it is the same thing. So on the basis of Eclipse, so they have designed STS for to add their own custom features. Okay, so and if you are a Windows user, so please go ahead and then download. Again, you need to choose which bit of the operating system you belongs to. If you are 32-bit, so please download this zip file. If you are 64-bit, and then so you need to download this. If you are a Mac operating system user, so you have directly option here, download it. And if you are Linux or Unix users, so please go ahead and use this version. Okay, usually I would recommend for learning purpose would be a Windows setup configuration would be recommended. So please go ahead and then download the Windows version. So if you look at here, ARM belongs to 64-bit operating system. So how should I know which bit of operating system ARM belongs to? Okay, so just open to your computer, go to this PC. So then if you go to system properties, so you should be knowing all your system features. Okay, so if you look at the operating system, okay, system system zip file. Okay, and when it comes to the installation of a complicated, it is very installation, and you don't have any exe file. So simply extracting the zip file is nothing but installation of your STS. So the moment so that you have extracted, your STS will be readily available, so then you can use that. Okay, so that's the simplest approach, I think. So almost I'm done. So it has around close to 400 MB, I think. So that is not a big software. It is okay. So please go to mute others so that we cannot hear any noise. And so if you have any questions in the middle, so in the middle, if you feel that so there is any questions, please stop me at any time to ask your question. Loaded. Yes. Okay. So it is downloaded successfully. What I'll do, so it might be downloaded in some X folder. Okay, I don't want to be you to extract in the same X folder, so please to have a structure. And before you before you work on the session, if you want to continue with the session, so please try to follow my training structure format. Okay, I want you to add a folder. Once if you started practicing, I want you to follow some structure, and before you beginning any applications, So the root folder name is java underscore training, and this folder you can add in C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, whichever the drive you have space. And please go ahead and then place a root folder name is java training. Under this I want you to add so the 6 items, so the 6 folders on it. Okay, so the one is workspace folder, okay, where you will be launching your your IDs will be launched from this workspace only. I don't want to launch the ID from default location. Okay, I want you to launch your Eclipse or maybe STS or any ID from workspace folder, and whatever the software so that you are downloaded, so please try to place the softwares under software folder. So in the future, if you are downloading any other software, so you should able to see all the softwares under software folder. Okay, so then followed by I will be sending you everyday session notes. Okay, whatever we are discussing a part of session notes, and I will be sending as a notes format, and then so that you need to be placed in part of session notes. Okay, then as I said, every session will be recorded in terms of video as well as audio, and please download and then place all your recordings for reference into the recording folder. And then whatever the projects so that we are developing, okay, and those projects I will be sending you, and please place as a backup into projects folder. And apart from that, so I will be sending you the several documents, and so please place all those documents into the documents folder. I want you to so see the structure on your system, so with this like this folder, so it will be useful for your reference. Okay, and it will be also it will be give you a confidence that yes, I have enough material, okay, for this particular course. Not only course, for entire Java training, if you are okay attending, so the for whole Java related training related content will be available here. Okay, I don't want you to be search so one software here and other software is some other place. Okay, all right. So now going back into the softwares folders, so once if it is okay placed here, so what you do simply, and so go over there, extract here, and I want you to have another prerequisite software is so WinRAR. Usually I will be sending you all the files in a RAR extension, so I want you to download so the software called WinRAR. So most probably everybody is aware of it. If you don't know, and then let me know so that I can share you how to download. No, okay. So WinRAR is the another software for to extract any zip or RAR files. Okay. So here I have already installed the RAR file. If you see the symbol which represents from WinRAR. Okay. So extract here is the option. So it's nothing but extracting this zip file. The extracting is nothing but so installation of your STS. Okay, so it may require few minutes for to extract all these files. Okay, so meanwhile I'll show you the Java software so which I installed in my system. So in C drive, okay, under program files Java, I have installed JDK 1.8. Okay, so please install so on your system JDK 1.8. Okay, and if you want to launch STS, and you need a JDK software. So 1 minute 45 seconds or 45 minutes are completed. Okay, so this one is only for the first time. So first time when you are downloading your SDS, and similar to like your installation. Okay, so you need to extract. That's it. So 90% is completed. Okay. Right. Okay. So extraction is completed. It means that so your installation is completed, and so now you have a new folder called STS bundle. So, okay. If you go to the STS bundle, then so you are able to see different like legal, pivotal, some. It comes with the built-in server also. Okay. So that is pivotal related server, and that server related, okay, the libraries and everything will be a part of here. So Apache Tomcat, it internally uses Apache Tomcat 6 version and then 7 version and 8 versions. Okay, so that is a server related software, and actual your IDE will be sitting under this folder. The STS 3.9.0 release. So if you open this, okay, and then so you are able to see STS exe file. So every time, so you don't need to come to here and then open it. If you really want, you can also send a shortcut to your desktop. Okay, and from your desktop, and then you can launch your STS. Okay, from your desktop, and then so you can launch your STS. Okay, so now I send it a shortcut here, and so from here I am launching. Okay, so here you see here it is launching Spring Tool Suite, a software company called Pivotal Software Inc. All access rights are reserved. Okay, for the first time, it needs some time to start up the STS. It will automatically search the Java installation setup and everything. So once if it is done, then it will ask you to choose the workspace location. So most of the developer usually they'll select the default directory location. I don't want you to be use the default directory location. Okay, so please try to go to your appropriate the folder location where you have added, and then from there start your so launch your IDE. Okay, browse the location for currently for your easy reference. I placed it in desktop under this Java training. So for launching all your projects and everything, so use the workspace as a folder. So I'm selecting the workspace is our folder. Okay, so then launch it. So it will start copying of all the required plugins and then required setup for this workspace. It will copy everything into your workspace folder, and don't delete anything related to which is copied into your workspace folder. Okay, so those are all the supported files. So if you see here, it is starting dot metadata, it will copy. So within this metadata, it will copy like a lot of plugins will be copied into here. So similar to your Eclipse. Okay, nothing new here. So don't try to delete this, so keep as it is. Okay, so that is the support files are copying. So whenever if you are launching the second time, so it is easy. So using that support file, it will launch. See here, So it is successfully launched. So the STS. So here is the STS. This is your welcome page. Okay. This one is very much similar to your Eclipse, right? Okay, so this one similar to your project explorer window where your all the projects are sitting, right? So here is the so the activity area where you will be building all your Spring related code, or where you are developing the activity area for writing all your code, right? And so here is the console is the section, so where so you can see the output of your program, right? So you have all the setup. So similar to like however you start with the running of applications or debugging of the application. Okay, browser support, exactly your Eclipse, similar to your Eclipse. But if you see here, so you will be seeing a leaf symbol. You will not see a Eclipse symbol because it's a customized by STS, and so you will see Spring related symbol. Okay, and you see here the default server will come. So usually in Eclipse you don't see any default server, but in STS you can see pivotal default server for developer versions. Okay, so this is pretty much what we use as regularly. I think so that all you can see here, right? All right, so hopefully you have seen all this. Now I just closed the welcome file. Now let's launch with the first application, right? So I'll start with the first project. So I think so you are all pretty much experienced. So first I will develop a standalone Java application. So standalone Java application. So if you want to develop the standalone application, just to choose a Java project, right? So you have many other features. If you see here, Spring Bean configuration file, if you want to write, you don't need to write that manually. You can choose this option, it will automatically write. If you want to design a web flow, and you can just select a web flow okay definition file, it will give you automatically web flow file. If you want to import any legacy project into your system, it will automatically detect, then it will import it. Okay, so like this. So if you see here, Spring specific features also they're part of this IDE. So these features you might be not seeing in the base Eclipse. Okay, so now I will select the standalone Java project. I'm just selecting standalone Java project. So let's give, so this is our first application. So I'll write Spring Core. Okay, give some, okay, application. I'll write, okay, first project. And so for this project, so what we will do, we will try to use the manually downloaded jar files. Okay, so and then so whatever we are working on for couple of project is the XML versions, and later we will see the XML versions. Okay, for the first initial days we will work with the XML version. So 001 Spring Core and first project I have written, right? So and then so what we will do, so whatever the Java version, so this is the default Java version, so that comes with the default with your IDs, and I don't want to use this versions. I want to configure so my own JDK setup for to launch this application. So configure JRE, the one which is downloaded into our system. So I'll edit, and then otherwise you can also add new one, standard virtual machine. Browse the full JDK where is installed. Okay, program files, Java, and so this is full set of JDK. and where it comes with the JRE as well. Select the full JDK, and it will automatically identify the JRE files. Okay, all JRE libraries are detected. So now finish it. So you don't need this, and I'll remove from this. Okay. JDK is here now, and apply and close it. So now, okay, launch all the time. So using this JDK, okay, click on next. Okay, and then finish it. So as it is automatically detected, this is a Java specific application. Do you want to open that perspective instead of Spring perspective? If you want, you can just select yes, then finish it. Okay, now it went into the Java because it is detected as a Java related project. It is not a Spring framework project, right? So because as we have not added any capabilities so far, okay, if you want, you can also select. So both of them are the same, not much difference. All right, so now, and if you want to set up for this project, so you need to have a libraries, right? So you need to have a Spring framework related library, so that you need to add, right? So if you want to use those libraries, so what do you need to do? So if it is a manual approach, so first of all you have to go to the downloaded location where you have downloaded, then we need to add all those jars into here. Okay, let me add those jars. Right click. Okay, so build path, and so I don't want to add for every project. I don't want to add for every project manually. So what I want to do, I want to create some user library directory, right? So if you want to do that, so you have an option called add library. Okay, so we have something called user library. Select the user library and click on user libraries and click on new. So give some name, Spring 4 libraries. So I'll write libs. Okay, and that is my user library directory name. I want to include all the necessary libraries into this particular folder. So I will add all those things, and then what I will do, so I will add this whole so the library version into Spring Core. Okay, let me choose this. Okay, now it's a empty library is added. Okay, for this I will try to add external jars. Now select that folder and click on add external jars. Okay, so we have downloaded Spring specific jar files. So if you see, yesterday I showed you Spring Framework 4.2.6 version. Expand this. Under this, if you go to the libraries, and here is the library section. Okay, so, and if you want to use the core version, so you can use the core library. Okay, and so definitely core is also required a beans, because definitely you will be writing a beans, so you need a beans libraries also, and select beans also. Okay, so for core and then so beans are enough for to start your application, right? So if we see that any other dependencies, we can come back again, we can add it, it will automatically add into the build path. And as we have downloaded yesterday bundle, it also comes with the Java documentation and Java sources. And if you want to see that API documentation names and all, you can also add all those things into the part of the build path, so that you can see the documentation. And then suppose whenever if you really want to see the source of that particular file, and usually it will give you error, okay, if you try to search. But now if you add everything into the build path, so it will automatically locate your source as well as the API documentation for Spring specific classes. So that's what I'm selecting, even those also. Otherwise only first jar and in the core is also this jar is enough. Okay, now I'm selecting all of them. I'm adding into the build path. Select it. So now added all the jars into the build path, not build path, into the user library. Then apply, close it. So now finish it. Okay, so now it is added into your project. So now I'm applying, apply and close it. So now this project is having Spring specific libraries all together, all jars added in a one shot. So the now application is ready, so we can ready to start our Spring specific code. So you can now ready to start anything so that you want to write for Spring related features, so that we can write here, right? So, and before we go to that, so I want you to also understand so few more other things. So if you want to develop a small Spring application, so the basic Spring application, so you should understand the minimum requirement for to start up with the Spring application. You need a Spring configuration file. What that configuration file is contains. Spring configuration file is the bootstrapping of for Spring framework, and that contains all Spring beans. Okay, so in across the Spring framework, we will be developing the beans. The beans contains your business logic of your application. Okay, so whatever the business logic so that you want, and so you can write all the business logic inside the Spring bean. And if you want to invoke that bean, so you need a client class. Spring client is required to invoke the beans if you want to access the beans, or if you want to execute your business logic, so you need a client. So he's going to be accessing the your bean specific business logic. Okay, so that is the minimum prerequisite files for in order to bootstrap or in order to develop the first application. Okay, so when it comes to the to activation of the Spring framework, either you have to use bean factory container or you have to use application context container. So what is bean factory? So whatever the beans that we are writing in part of Spring framework, all the beans are managing under a factory called bean factory. So bean factory, okay, is I would say that so bean factory contains a pool of beans. All the beans objects are located inside the bean factory. So the bean factory is the responsibility to managing the complete bean life cycle. So in the later session, I'll speak about bean life cycle, and then all what is bean. Okay, so all that, so we will be learning part of the our first project, right? And if you want to write any bean, so definitely that bean will be maintained under bean factory. So the bean factory is responsible to managing all bean life cycle. I mean to say, however you have a servlet, the servlet is going to, right? Servlet have init method, destroy method, and then it also has method. And so who will be creating the servlet object? So how the servlet lifecycle mechanism will be executed? It all will be depending on the your server container. So right, server container is the responsibility to managing the servlet lifecycle. So similarly, for every bean in Spring has its own lifecycle mechanism, but it won't depending on it won't depends any external containers. It has internal containers like bean factory container is the basic container in Spring framework, and we also have another advanced container called application context container. Either you can use bean factory container or you can use application context container. So, and you will get a question in your mind, if I have already bean factory container, why? So bean factory is the basic container, so the base container. So internally, application context internally uses the Bean Factory, plus it also supports you many other features which it does not support by Bean Factory. So that's the reason usually we'll call it as application context is a subset of Bean Factory. Okay. Someone is speaking. Okay. So, and then so we will try to discuss in the later part of the session, so what are the different Bean life cycle methods, so what are the life cycle methods so which we will be so using, and how do we call those life cycle methods, so we will try to learn. Okay. And so basically you need a Spring container is nothing but so either of these two activation is nothing but so activating of your container, right?
Sir, one small question.
Someone is asking a question.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Sir, TLD file is means do we need write to TLD file also in Spring? Like
TLD files are not required. So because so that is was being used from some time back, and so that is also especially when you are building any web related application. So if you want to develop any web application, so usually that is required, but nowadays in the latest version of the Spring, even you don't need to use those TLD files. Okay.
so, how we are managing that logic what we used to write in JSP in the form of TLD in Spring.
Yes, yes, I will be explain. Okay, I will explain you. So once we start with MVC, okay, as part of the web application development, I will explain you. So you don't need to use any TLD files, and so we have something called web URI. So what you need to do is, whenever if you are building any JSP, and if you want to use a custom specific directories, so the custom directory which you are going to use in the application, if you just refer the web URI, it will automatically refers the internal TLD files, and you don't need to explicitly mention, you don't need to configure so explicitly in the Spring application.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So that is the basic thing. So what we will be seeing as part of the first application, I'll show you that. Okay. And the basic feature in Spring framework, if you want to start anything in a Spring, compulsory we will be starting with the feature called dependency injection. Dependency injection is the basic need for to get any objects management. If you want to really access any objects in the core module, so we must going to use the concept called dependency injection. Dependency injection is one of the most powerful concept in Spring framework to manages the objects. Okay. Dependency injection, in another word, it's also called as inversion of controller. Okay, so basically dependency injection is classified into three parts. The first one is called constructor injection, and the second one is setter injection, and the last one is interface injection. So the officially, okay, was announced all this different classification of dependency injection, but in the real world we uses only constructor injection as well as setter injection. We don't have official implementation, was not given by Spring so far. Okay, but they have announced it as interface injection, but so far officially we don't know what is the implementation for interface injection. But we are.
Sir, which one you're talking about?
Ankur, you're trying to say something?
Yeah, sir, which version are you talking about? Means like we have interface injection and
Any version, okay, from the day one of their announcement on the Spring framework, okay, they have given all the various injection, but even if you see up to 5.0 also, we don't see any interface injection implementation.
okay.
Okay, so we don't have so far. Maybe I'm not sure in the later, maybe in the future versions you may expect interface injection implementation, but at this point in the real world we are using constructor injection as well as setter injection. So first of all, what is dependency injection? Okay, what is dependency injection? The word itself is pronouncing that as dependency injection. So the dependency injection is nothing but injecting the objects in a respective location. Okay, so dependency injection is nothing but so injecting the objects in a dependent location. Okay, so is called a dependency injection. Dependency injection will help you to avoid the tightly coupling. So it will help you to so simplifies the concept of loosely coupling, and so it also supports the concept called so object factory design pattern. So what is object factory? I will explain you. I don't know if I have any diagram. Okay, I so I have to show you basically what so as I said, so bean factory. So all the beans objects are available under bean factory, right? So whatever the beans so that you are creating and then configuring in the configuration file, all those beans are sitting under bean factory. How do you extract those objects from the factory and how we can use in the dependent classes? Suppose let us say I have a class called login class. A login class may require a user object. That user object is a bean. So that is okay, is sitting under bean factory. How do we get this? So using any of the dependency injection mechanism, you can inject those objects into your dependent class. That's the reason it's called as dependency injection. Don't think about okay a bookish knowledge, or don't think about anything. So think about in terms of practical knowledge. Okay, practically think about it, how the injection is going to be so works. Suppose let me give you an example for setter injection. Okay, so I have a class called public class A. Okay, so this class I just declared a variable called private string username. Usually if you have any property, the recommended way we should be having a setters and getters. Using that, so we will set the values for this property, and then so we can get the values. Okay, so if you are in without a dependency approach, usually what we will do, we will try to construct a object for this class. Okay, then if it is not okay, if it is not a private variable, you can directly access a variable, then you can assign the value. Usually it is not recommended. So the other approach what we will do, so using setter method you will set the value, and using getter method so we will get the value. Okay, so for if I need an object for in one time, suppose if I need the same thing for five in 5 different places, I need the 5 different places I need a class object. Usually what we will do, in 5 different classes we will try to construct the objects, right? So that definitely give you so 5 different objects, so that maintaining of those objects are really complicated, right? So you may not really require 5 different objects, but one object is suffice. But what usually we do, and we will try to unnecessarily constructing a 5 objects, so which will degrade the performance of your application. Okay, so instead of doing a manual approach of constructing a objects then setting up the values, so using Spring framework provided dependency injection mechanism, so that will simplify for to constructing a manual objects, and that will also avoids the manual way of so setting up the values or injecting of the value. So what exactly we are doing, we are injecting a value called Smith, we are injecting into so the A class for this particular username. Okay, and I don't want anybody to write such this type of logic. And so we want to everything should be organized or controlled by Spring framework. So simply what you need to do, a very simple thing, and you need to declare this class is a bean class. Okay, how we are going to be declaring this class as a bean class, I will explain you. And then So this class we need to configure as part of the Spring configuration file. The moment so that you configure this class is a Spring configuration file, the complete life cycle of this class is under control of Spring container. The container is the responsibility to managing and then constructing of the object of this class. It will make sure that it is injecting the object. How that will inject? So the same Smith I'm injecting, so using a property as an element, name which property is username, and the value which I'm injecting at the time of configuration of Spring configuration file. Framework is responsible to constructing the object of this, and then it will automatically inject the value called Smith. So, and now if I want to use in 5 places, I don't need to initialize the 5 different bean objects. In the container, so the bean factory container, I can look up the existing object which is available in the bean factory in 5 different places. I can look up so the A class object. So there is only one object so will be maintained, but in 5 different places can access the same object which will be shareable in across the application, right? So that is the major the idea behind the dependency injection. So why we are using the concept of dependency injection. So why the dependency injection is really required in the application for to maintain the objects, right? Suppose just in a simple in a case like if you see so
just
and
a small query.
yes.
Means here we are achieving means configuration of an object, or we are saving memory out of it. Means before you have shown one example about step 1, and step 1 you have shown, step 2 means step 1 and step 2, two things you have shown, right? This way we can do either step 1 or either step 2.
Exactly.
So we are achieving configuration here, or we are achieving memory saving?
Okay, so the one thing is everything will comes under configuration management. Okay, and the second thing is we are also saving the memory of the application.
So how we are saving, because framework also creating an object, right?
Exactly, but it is avoiding unnecessary object creation, right?
Okay,
So
means it will create a dynamic object.
exactly. Okay, it construct a dynamic object whenever it is necessary, and the same dynamic object will be shared across the application. And also it manages the life cycle of your bean. And if you go within a normal approach, so just think about in a few minutes, if you don't have a concept of dependency injection, okay, you have to return everything manually. Now everything is under control of Spring framework.
Okay, sir, but wherever required, we are creating an object. Means like first class is, let's say, A class. We are creating an object here whenever required, and when we need in a big class, we will create an object. So
No,
in terms of memory, I guess it's not saving memory for us. Step 2.
no, it is not like that. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Okay, we have something called bean factory. So the bean factory, what it really does is it constructs this object and then it will place under bean factory. Suppose if you need so the A class object in the B class, so simply you don't need to construct an object, so you can just look up a ready-made object. You can look up from the bean factory. If you need a same object from the C class, you can just look up from the bean factory, and the object which is already available in the bean factory, just look up in the C class. So wherever you required in the application, across the application, you can just look up the object which is available in the bean factory. So that's way you can avoid the objects initialization.
Okay.
Okay. So any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So I think so probably to start with this example, I think so we may require another 1 hour. So what we will do when we are meeting the next session, so we will continue from here. Okay. And practically for building one of the business class. I'll try to show you one real world example. So using dependency injection. Okay, how do we build a real world application? So using Spring dependency injection. So first we'll try to learn with the concept of setter injection. Okay, then so later we'll go with the concept of constructor injection. So as I said, so okay, probably in the dependency injection itself, so we will spend around so 8 to 9 projects. So we will work so using concept of dependency injection. Okay. All right. So I think so. Before you join in the next session, I would recommend everybody. So please go ahead and then have a so setup until this. And before you coming into the next session, so please complete the first project creation in your Eclipse. Make sure that okay, your so STS is launched, you are able to create the project, and then so you should be able to add all the libraries under your project. So hopefully you can complete this in a 15 minutes because you are all experienced. Okay, so you can complete in 15 minutes. I think it's not a big deal for you all, but make sure that so you will be get ready on this. So when we are so starting the next session, so you can also continue part of my session. You can also develop the same thing at your system as well. Okay, so and please do share your all your email details. And one of Mihar is asking a question: how can I get the previous session videos? I have all the videos. Only the confirmed students are so they are getting the videos and then so emails. So please share your email address. Once if I get the confirmation from Durgasoft, and I'll be sending you the complete materials in terms of email. So in the at the end of the session, so you'll be receiving a session notes, okay, and followed by recording material and place so whatever the documents which we have used, and then so the projects so that we built in the application. Okay. So and I hope everybody have my email. If you don't have, let me share you. So here is my email address. Please note down, and also please don't mind to drop your email. So drop me at srinivasreddy6@gmail.com is my email address. And I know I have a couple of other student email addresses. I'll be sending the material for them, but so whoever is not at sent, so please drop your email to my email address. Okay, and I will send out the material then as well as recording videos. Okay, so with that said, I think so that's it. We have, I think so you can see the next session where you can see the complete the execution of the first application, so that so we will be completing by the next session. Okay, so with that said, so that's it I have. If you have any questions, so please you can ask me, and before we exit from the session.
Sir, timing will remain same?
Yes, so it will be 8 to 9, 8 a.m. So IST we will start, and then so we will close by 9 a.m. IST. Okay. All right. So have a wonderful day to all of you, and see you on the next session. And bye bye. Have a good day.